They say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but after all, what is the cover for other than to let you know how cool the book's going to be? That's my theory, at least. And it was really put into practice when Laura and I recently went to Glanzfest and we attended a talk about book covers. And right towards the end, we were shown this incredible book cover for The Dance with Shadows by Rogbert Payne, a book which is coming out this next month. Very excited about. But my gosh, I was so overawed with this cover, designed by Moyoa Alabi, that I literally just I had to buy this book and find out what was in it. You know, the point of a cover is to kind of give you a sense of what you're going to find inside, of the energy that is contained within the book, of the kind of plots, the kind of characters, but also the kind of imagination, the kind of broad, vivid strokes of colour it is going to create in your brain as you read the book. Seeing this book cover made me think, what are my top 10 book covers of all time? And before you go, well, Ross, I don't care about your opinion. What do you know about book covers? Well, as part of my career, I have worked as a graphic designer for the last 15 years or so. So I feel like I know a thing or two about design. So hopefully you'll find these opinions maybe slightly more informed than Joe Blogs on the street. Not to say that Joe Blogs' opinions are less valid, but I would like to say my opinions on this maybe are slightly more informed. So anyway, we'll see if you agree. Let's start with these incredible covers. So I'm actually going to do two in a row here because these both kind of, I know, I'm cheating. The Tenseret series by Neon Young has the most extraordinary covers. And these are all designed by Yuko Shimizu. Not the Yuko Shimizu who designed Hello Kitty. This is a different Yuko Shimizu. Creative direction by Irene Gallo and art direction by Christine Fulzer. I love these pieces. There's the classic sort of ukiyo-e style Japanese art in there, with a kind of a glistening gold and a beautiful kind of fantastical quality in the creatures that are shown. Like, there's such intricacy to these illustrations, and combined with a strange choice of typography using a sans serif, almost kind of like copper plate kind of style font, but I think that works really well with the kind of sci-fi theme of these books. These are kind of somewhere between fantasy and sci-fi, so I love these covers. These are some of my favorite covers. Next up on the list, we're going to go something similar in terms of the setting. The cover to Elizabeth Lim's Six Crimson Cranes, specifically the US cover, has the most gorgeous painterly illustration around this woman's face. Now, Laura always says that she doesn't like books with faces on the cover, but I'm going to disagree with her here because I think this is such a gorgeous, emotive cover. It kind of reminds me of, I think it's Isle of the Gods by Amy Kaufman, that kind of recent book that came out, kind of like the showing the face in quite close angle. I think this is a gorgeous cover, and in fact the cover to the sequel is arguably as good, but I think this one nicks it for me. This one is by Tran Wen, staying with the East Asian kind of thing, and I don't know what it is about fantasy books or historical fiction books that have that kind of East Asian origin, that these book covers just are always solid. And this one here is Musashi by A.G. Yoshikawa. This one was done by the master Noriyoshi Orai, who did a lot of the old film posters of Godzilla, of Empire Strikes Back. And this illustration was then combined with this kind of graphical style. The bold purple text and the gold in the background, I think it just creates such an impactful cover, and it looks fantastic from the spine on the bookshelf. I think this is a gorgeous cover and one of my favorites. Similarly, but not quite, using an existing illustration with a metallic background. This one might be a bit controversial, but Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. The refashioning of this cover for the 30th anniversary with the silver backgrounds and the red serif titling. Original illustration by Daryl K. Sweet. There's something about this reimagining that kind of, for me, kind of really, it's a fantastic blend of old and new. It retains that kind of fantasy painterly aesthetic while doing something modern with it, and for me, I think this is just a really clever reimagination. Going a little bit back, the original cover for A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin, which is by Ruth Robin. So I believe also did some illustrations within the book as well. I think this is such a gorgeous illustration that, once again, it's not being too obvious. It's not really telling you about much of the story, about what's going to happen in the book, but it does focus all the attention on Ged, this kind of youthful face, this kind of hopeful, optimistic face, and this beautiful, almost kind of like a Greek ancient style illustration. Just simple typography and bold colours. Some of the old covers are like this, are just extraordinary. The UK cover for this is also pretty good, but this one particularly, in fact, if you ever come across this and you are willing to sell it to me, get in touch, because I really eagerly desire a copy of this book. Staying in that old kind of style, but then going to a slightly different medium. The UK cover to Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury, with this bold, vibrant yellow, this pastel illustration style. This illustration was done by Joseph McNaney. I'm sorry if I've mispronounced that. You would have seen this book in a video just a few weeks ago, that it was one of my white whales. Ever since I first saw this cover, I knew I needed to have this version of this book, because it is such a complete piece of art. The typography is so incorporated into the imagery, into the art, that I just think, I mean, some of these old covers, they are designed as like an art piece, with the whole, the type being part of it. I think this is a fantastic cover, really stands out on the shelf, and our copy, our yellow cover, is just as vibrant as the day it was first printed. I think these are incredible covers. Moving slightly forward into the future, this one might also be a little bit controversial, because I know not everyone loves the Josh Kirby covers for Terry Pratchett books, but there's something so chaotic, so wonderful going on in the cover of Weird Sisters by Terry Pratchett. I mean, first of all, I mean, you look at it and you go, what is going on? I need to find out. And then you combine that with the use of colour, this kind of really dark green. I've got a thing for green. I really like ghostly green covers. There's something about them. I will say the typography in this one is not as nice as some of the other ones we've looked at so far, but the art, the illustration, the way it wraps around. I mean, Josh Kirby was a bit of an acquired taste, a man of, yes, quite eccentric style, but I really love this cover. Rosemary Sutcliffe's book, Sword at Sunset, is a classic King Arthur retelling, and this cover is, I'm going to say, it's probably my favourite cover of all time. Once again, the typography has incorporated into the design in a really effective way. But let's just talk about this sunset. The number of colours contained in the sunset. I've seen sort of like a recent kind of similar kind of approach with the new Sword of Kaigan cover from Page and Wick. But this, you can almost kind of see the brushstrokes, see the kind of impasto on the design, and the sword in the centre. Oh, I mean, like, obviously the classic kind of Gil Sans font there for Rosemary Sutcliffe's name. I can't get enough of this cover. I've never read this book, but I bought it specifically because of the cover. I love it so much. And the last book on this list is probably not going to be a surprise to many people. JRR Tolkien, his own illustration for The Hobbit. This cover has stood the test of time. It is iconic. It is so well rendered. If you think about how many years it has been since The Hobbit was first published, and you look at all of the iterations since then, all of the hardback iterations since then, and maybe apart from like a 10-year blip, they have all used this same cover. This is how iconic it is, how timeless it is, and a real testament to Tolkien's illustrative ability. Now, some of his illustrations aren't as good as this one, but this one he has basically saved possibly his best illustration for his most famous and most original work. I think this probably deserves the title of the best fantasy book cover ever. And you may disagree, but that's my opinion. And you're entitled to your opinion, which I'd be interested to know. What are your favourite book covers? Get down in the comments, give me a few. I want to check them out. and I want to have my mind blown by how gorgeous these designs are. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can head over to hardysbooks.co.uk, and where we sell rare and antiquarian or modern first editions with a bit of a sci-fi and fantasy focus. So check that out. Hopefully you'll find a book that you really want to buy on there. A lot of these books have amazing covers. Remember to check us out on Instagram and on TikTok at Hardy's Books. And you are now, I think this might be the last video of the month. Is that right? Yes. This is the last video of the month. If you've been watching us over March, hopefully you found the code word. So go and find, if you haven't found the code words, go and watch all of our videos that are released this month. There's a code word contained in one of those videos, and that's entering that code word into an online form that is linked down in the description will give you a chance to win a first UK edition of Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio. Don't miss out on it. And what else is there to say? Well, maybe I should hand over to Mr. Abercrombie and see what he has to say.
Hello, I'm Joe Abercrombie, obviously, and I would like you to subscribe to Hardy's Books immediately, if not sooner than that.